Now to a Fox 5 exclusive. More relatives of Fulton County Jail inmates have come forward about what's being called a pay-for-protection scheme needed to keep their incarcerated sons and husbands safe.
One mother says she was on the phone with her son when she could hear other inmates threatening and assaulting him. Fox 5's Morse Diggs has looked into the troubling activity tied to the Fulton Jail commissary.
Now, you guys aren't going to like what I got to say about this. Yes, I do. My sympathies go out a little to the guys that this is happening to. And, you know, the guys who are doing it, they should be punished by the jail if and when they're discovered to be doing this. However, with the state of the country, the way crime is rampant, the way the criminal justice system is providing zero deterrence for unrepentant, unabashed, uninhibited, reckless, brazen criminals. Any little piece of deterrent that we can find, because I mean, I'm sure guys in Atlanta don't want to. They don't want to go to court and go to jail and be getting extorted, man. I'm sure they don't want that to happen. I'm sure no one's looking forward to that. And if that can serve as a deterrent for some of these guys, man, to not commit crimes and hurt people like they're doing in the streets, then I'm all for it. Secondly, who do you think is doing this? What group do you think is doing this? In the jail. What group do you think is doing this to Atlanta inmates in the city jail?
Now to a Fox 5 exclusive. More relatives of Fulton County Jail inmates have come forward about what's being called a pay-for-protection scheme needed to keep their incarcerated sons and husbands safe.
One mother says she was on the phone with her son when she could hear other inmates threatening and assaulting him. Fox 5's Morse Diggs has looked into the troubling activity tied to the Fulton Jail commissary.
So imagine being a parent and you have the fear and the feeling that you can't control anything going on the inside. This pay for protection scheme that we're hearing about, it is linked to the commissary, the store for inmates inside. Funds flow through that on what they call the inmate account. You are looking at some of the homemade weapons called shanks that violent inmates use to keep their brand of order inside the Fulton County Jail. The target of illegal activity stems from the inside the jail bank or inmate account system. With those funds, the inmate or family members can purchase items from the jail commissary, everything from food to toiletries and other items.
You have to pay for protection inside.
That's a mother of an inmate who told me it became apparent her son would be in danger after an incident that took place on the third day of his incarceration.
Literally beaten while I was on the phone with him having a conversation. You could hear the gang member telling my son that they're going to shank him. Sir, I was hysterical. I was calling down to the jailhouse.
That's got to be so embarrassing, man. Your mommy calling down to the jail. The other inmates are extorting you. That's got to be so embarrassing, man. Listen, man. These single mothers, these mothers, whatever kind of mother they are, they're raising these guys that are terrorizing these communities. Now, the guy who's this happening to, just because this is happening to him does not mean that he wasn't the type of guy that would, you know, clobber a 90-year-old woman and run off with her purse, or carjack a mom and then take off with the kid in the car and then let the kids out couple blocks away and keep going. This is jail. So even bad guys get bad stuff done to them. So that's why, you're probably like, man, it's messed up. What happened to him? You don't know what this guy's in there for.
I was hysterical. I was calling down to the jailhouse.
8 gang members, she believes, took part in that assault.
My son explained to me that his face was swollen. He could barely open his eyes. He could barely even talk to me.
And ever since, the son asked for money, often directing it be sent to other inmate accounts.
It was about his commissaries and stuff. And we cashed at him some money.
Do you have any idea how much money over the period of weeks and months?
Yes. We've cashed up over close to $9,000. His grandmother has been helping me give him money. And she's on a one-income base.
You feel like you don't have a choice.
My son will be beaten.
Wow. 9,000 buckaroos, man. That's a lot of money, Jack. And then once prison is the type of place, jail, whereas if you show a little bit of weakness, man, the floodgates just open up. And I'm sure once guys found out this guy was, extortable. And listen, I mean, hey, let's not play tough guy here, man. Like, this could have happened to any one of us. But still, once they find out that you're extortable, I'm sure guys are fighting over. They're fighting each other over the right to extort this guy. I'm sure he's still receiving occasional beatings when the money doesn't come in right, not enough or not on time. And then also just from other inmates that don't respect him because this is happening to him. It's a terrible situation, but this serves as a deterrent. I don't want none of this. I'm seeing this shit. I don't want to go to jail. Shit. What about you, man? You looking forward to this? You want a piece of this?
To other inmate accounts.
It was about his commissaries and stuff. And we cashed at him some money.
Do you have any idea how much money over the period of weeks and months?
Yes. We've cashed up over close to $9,000. His grandmother has been helping me give him money. And she's on a one-income base.
You feel like you don't have a choice.
My son will be beaten. He will be hurt.
What about a family attorney? Can the attorney go inside and intervene? Well, this mom I talked to today says her attorney has communicated to her there's not a whole lot he can do, that's the way things happen inside a jail. From the Fulton County Jail, I'm Morris Diggs, Fox 5 News.
All new at 5, a teen faces 140 years in prison after a jury found her guilty of manslaughter and gang charges in a shooting that killed a woman.
But her family argues the sentence is excessive for a teenager who wasn't convicted of murder. They told our Joe Ripley they're fighting for a new trial now.
Family stands outside the Gwinnett County Justice Center demanding justice and freedom for Demia Mitchell. The 18-year-old learned this month she will spend the next 140 years in prison.
Okay, let's be honest here, man. If she's 18, at the most she'll spend 82 more years in prison. All this 140-year prison crap. Come on, man. At the most she's gonna spend 82 years in prison. But yeah, all jokes aside, this girl killed someone. She was responsible for someone's death. And I just hate the fact that some people are so classless sometimes. They're so crass. Your daughter killed someone. and you're out in front of the courthouse protesting that they should be free. The family of the victim has to see this, friends of the victims, they all have to see this. There's other ways to do this. There's other ways to, it's called appeals. Appeal the sentence. All this attention seeking, and a girl is dead. A girl who had a bright future, a brighter future than this girl. This girl wasn't going nowhere. The girl had a brighter future than this girl, who's going to end up in jail for another crime had she not killed this girl. I want you to understand that. Had this girl not committed this manslaughter, the course she was on, the activities she was engaging in, the crowd she was in, the circle she was in, the behavior she was displaying, she was going to jail for something else really soon had she not done this. And yet we got the families out. It's just, this stuff just annoys me to no end.
Family stands outside the Gwinnett County Justice Center demanding justice and freedom for Demia Mitchell. The 18-year-old learned this month she will spend the next 140 years in prison.
You're saying you will never see the daylight ever again in your life. They want my baby to die in jail for something that's false and bogus.
Court documents I obtained today show a jury found Mitchell guilty on a dozen charges, including voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, and gang charges.
These gang charges, those were just chumped up charges, false charges they put on my child. She's not affiliated with gang members. She's not in a gang.
Warrants state Mitchell was associated with the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, a criminal street gang.
Now, I've done several stories about the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods. I didn't know they were in Atlanta, because their strongholds is Virginia, New Jersey, New York, areas like that. I had no idea they were down in the Atlanta area. But that's a legit gang. Like, that's not like a play gang. That's not like a gang where, you just show up and you want to be down. Like, you gotta be, like, official to get down with them. You don't get down with them by accident. Nobody confuses you for a 9 Trey gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you down with them, you down. So I don't believe this. She couldn't have been down with them. That's not like some little girls meet up at the rec every day and say, we gonna join, we gonna call our gang the Powerpuff Mafia. All in on 3, 1, 2, 3, gang. Like, nah, this is a real gang. You can't be down with, it can't be misconstrued. It can't be an accident. You down with them or you not. You know what I'm saying? Like, they deep in the streets, deep in the prisons. For them to be able to tie, for the state to be able to tie her to this gang, it's almost impossible that it was just like she was just there and some 9 Treys did something and she didn't leave fast. Nah,
Warrants state Mitchell was associated with the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, a criminal street gang. Prosecutors argued Mitchell and 4 others got into a fight with people at a home on Mountain Ash Court in Gwinnett County in February 2021. The argument ended with gunfire and Faith Burns was killed. 11 Alive reached out to Burns' family to get their reaction to Mitchell's sentence, but did not hear back.
And that's the tragedy about these events, that 2 lives are generally lost in these cases, and 2 families are dealing with tragedies and suffering.
Thaddeus Johnson, a criminal justice expert at Georgia State University, says when young women commit crimes against what he calls traditional gender norms, they tend to receive harsher punishments than men.
How can we trust the system if they roll like this?
Mitchell's family claims the trial was mishandled, and now they're exercising every legal option they can.
A new trial, a new something. I want I want it to be overturned.
Court officials tell me the other 4 defendants in this case pleaded guilty earlier today in connection with this case. As for their sentencing, that will come at a later date. In Gwinnett County, Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Well, new at 5, the family of a Gwinnett County woman sentenced to 140 years in prison is outraged tonight. They say prosecutors are making an example of 18-year-old Damia Mitchell, who was convicted of manslaughter last week.
But the family of the 20-year-old woman who was shot and killed on Valentine's Day last year has a different perspective. Fox 5's Portia Bruner joins us from the live desk with more. Portia?
Yeah, Faith Burns grew up in Grayson, playing soccer and hanging out with her friends. Her father told me this afternoon she was at her girlfriend's home in Decula on Valentine's Day of 2021 when the girlfriend's ex-girlfriend showed up with a bunch of friends who opened fire that day. Now,
wow, that's just such an unlucky. Grew up in a nice town, not too sunny town for the Atlanta area. Nice parents, good upbringing. Just over a friend's house, and her ex-girlfriend shows up and starts shooting, and you get hit and you die. Yikes.
Yeah, Faith Burns grew up in Grayson, playing soccer and hanging out with her friends. Her father told me this afternoon she was at her girlfriend's home in Decula on Valentine's Day of 2021 when the girlfriend's ex-girlfriend showed up with a bunch of friends who opened fire that day. Now, Faith died on Valentine's Day 2021 at the hospital. 5 women were ultimately charged. Teenagers, in fact, just young women. Damia Mitchell chose to go to trial for felony murder.
Okay, so this is the girl that was killed. So she was also LGBT. So, one thing about son LGBT women is the character they take on, that butch character, because of son culture, is usually that of a thug or some hip-hop type character. Whereas you would see a glider LGBT person take on the character of like a, maybe like a businessman or a bro, like a fraternity bro or something like that, or something like that, stockbroker. It's just like get the buzz cut and the briefcase and the suit and just be like, I'm a little man. It's, little glider man that's, going around doing my glider thing. And unfortunately with some women, when they do that, yo is so-and-so from so-and-so and, who wants smoke? That's the role they take because of the differences in culture. So, and I'm not saying that this girl deserved anything that happened to her. I'm just trying to, give you guys, set the scene for you. And then they also say that the other 4 girls pled guilty. When you part of a 5-person, these 5 codees, man, and 4 of them plead guilty. Listen, man, I mean, you can take it to trial, but if they're pleading guilty, like, and you're saying it didn't happen, and they all get 10 years, they all pleading guilty to get 10 years. They're pleading guilty in return for pleading guilty, they're getting 10 years. And you gonna take it to trial? If you lose, your boots are going to officially be set on fire. They are going to smoke your boots. In that case, if you lose, and you're going to lose in that case because the other 4 people say, yeah, it happened. Give me my 10 years. And you're like, I don't know. I wasn't even there. What you talking about? What happened? you're going to get your boots smoked, man.
5 women were ultimately charged. Teenagers, in fact, just young women. Demia Mitchell chose to go to trial for felony murder. Last week, the jury convicted her of manslaughter, not felony murder, but manslaughter, aggravated assault, and street gang activity. Now, her family was stunned when she was sentenced to 140 years in prison last Wednesday, even though she was a first-time offender. They held a protest outside the Gwinnett County Courthouse today, demanding a new trial with a new judge and a different look at the evidence in the case. But Faith's father told me it's really hard to empathize with those demands given his family's loss.
None of these people will come out to protest for any of the kids that get killed in Atlanta every other day by stray bullets. Any of the kids sleeping in their beds that get shot. None of these people will come out protest. None of these people will protest to stop the crime. Not even protest to stop the crime, but protest to, like, Pookie, turn yourself in, man. Pookie, where you at, man? We demand that Pookie who shot that little girl in the drive-by, man. We demand Pookie get 140 years. Don't give Pookie no bond. Make his butt sitting there till trial. We protesting for that. And never do that.
You chose the wrong person to make an example out of when she doesn't have no prior history of anything. She has not been in and out of your court system, so we're just confused on how she get 140 years.
And she's not in no gang.
And she's not in a gang.
Me and my family, we dealing with a life sentence without our daughter. So, I mean, you still have an opportunity to speak and see each other. I don't have that opportunity. To speak and see my daughter.
Mr. Burns says Faith was a beautiful young lady who loved her family and friends and was trying to figure out where she was going to attend college after being accepted at the Citadel, well, among other schools.
Wow, this girl had been accepted at the Citadel. That's quite an accomplishment. Quite an accomplishment. Citadel's a very good school, military school. Very disciplined, very structured school. I mean, I'm talking about you up 5:30, suited and booted, ready to go. She wasn't going to have the typical college experience of partying and, you know, bike week and all that stuff and running around the dorms, step shows, and she was going to military school, man. Wow.
The 4 other teenage girls accepted plea deals with the DA for their roles in the shooting that day. Each were convicted of aggravated assault and sentenced to 10 years in prison with anywhere from 2 years to 4 years to serve. The Mitchell family insists Demia's sentence should be more in line with those sentences.
Wow. The other girls got to serve 2 to 4 years for just copping out. And she gets 140 years for taking it to trial. I mean, that's how it goes, man. Now, if they had all taken it to trial, maybe it's a different outcome. Maybe they would have smoked all of them and gave them all 30 years or something like that. But since 4 of them said, yeah, man, this happened, that happened, this happened. This was when she was standing here, I was standing there. The bullet ricocheted here. I saw the gun, the fire come out, the nozzle of the gun. I said, ooh, ow, ow. I ducked and ran out. I tripped up, and then I looked back, and she was doing this, and Kamika was doing that, and Tasha was doing it. And then you come in there talking about something. I don't know what y'all talking about. What shooting? What? I was at my cousin's house. Like, oh, man.
DA Patty Austin-Gatson declined to comment on the details of this case this afternoon, saying the jury's decision and the judge's sentence speak for themselves. At the live desk, Portia Bruner, Fox 5 News.
All right, Portia.